going to first create the toggle button that will toggle if the user want or do not want to see the others, because that will also help us create our dynamic subtitle. So what I'm going to do, I will go to my table where I have my category axis, and I'm going to create a new column. And this new column will be anything. We're going to call it select others. And I'm going to use an if statement. And if my pharmacy name equals to others, to use one, else two. You're going to see very briefly why I need this. I'm going to need this for my slicer. So the way that I'm going to create my toggle button is using the button slicer. So here is my button slicer. And for now, I'm going to use this calculated column with select others, right? But the way that I want my toggle button to work is whenever we toggle to hide the others. That means that in our slicer, we only need to see, so you're going to apply a filter here, and we'll only see number 2. Number 2 is when the others are not selected. Next, I will, let's do some formatting. I will go to image. Before going to image, let's go to call out. I don't need to see the value 2, so I will disable that. Then I'm going to image, and I will upload an image for the toggle on and upload another image for toggle off. And my toggle on will be the status selected. So this is how we're going to do it based on these apply settings to state selected. I'm going to image, and I want to upload an image. I'm going to browse, and here is my toggle on. So when it's selected, I'm going to apply, and I will add here fit. Now we can't see because it's not toggle on. So if I toggle now, it will show this image. And there is a lot of formatting I have to do. So if you go to buttons, states, let's do all. I don't want any background, and I don't want any border. There we go. So now we have that toggle off. We have the bars others, and toggle on. We have the the bar others removed. So we still have to format our button when it's unselected. So if you go back to images, now the state will be default. And I will also upload an image. And I have here my toggle off. If you don't know where to get these images, you can ask Copilot, ChatGPT, you can get from Canva. It can be any image that you have with a toggle on and toggle off. Image fit, it's also fit. So now when I toggle off, I will have this impression that the toggle is off, disabled, and then toggle on. You can also, for the state, do on hover. I'm just going to upload the same image as the disabled one, so it just doesn't go blank when you're hovering. So when I hover now, it's not going to change much. So on and off. And then, of course, we have to add some title so your user know what that toggle button is doing. And the title that I'm going to use is show only top end. Or you can also say hide others, whatever you think is best for you. There we go. Let's also change our top end slicer name. I don't want just to have top end. Just let's make it a bit more intuitive. So select top end. So now we can make this a little bit smaller. Let's just reduce the title. 12. Now we have our toggle button. So the next step, which is the final step, is create our measure with a dynamic subtitle. So my dynamic subtitle will work according to the top end selection as well as the if you're enabling or disabling to see your others bar. So whenever you disable to see the others bar, what I'm going to do is I'm not going to show the values for others. And whenever it is the bars are shown, the other bars is shown, I'm going to show the values. There are top and selected, how much is the total revenue for the top end, and what is the percentage of the overall total. And then for others, I'm going to say how many categories are under others, the total revenue that they account for, as well as the percentage. So finally, we are going to create our last measure, which is going to be used for our subtitle. So I will add a new measure. Let's just call it, I don't know, subtitle. And we're going to have to create quite a few variables before our return statement. Our first variable will read the number selected in our top end slicer. So that's pretty much the same thing that we did for the measure sales top end. So let's call it top end value. And it will be the selected value from our top end. And then we can also add a fallback that I forgot to add on the previous one. So let's say that if nothing is selected, to be 5. This next variable will read the value from our slicer show top end only. And you used to decide whether to hide the others bar when the user select two. So whenever they toggle on the button. So let's call it category count. Is the selected value from our category axis select others option. Then we're going to create another variable, and this variable will build a table for every pharmacy with its total revenue. Just we did the same thing as well for the measure sales top end. So let's call it all pharmacies. And we're also going to use the summarize, and we want to summarize from the fact sales, fact sales again, pharmacy name, and then we want to add the revenue from the measure revenue. Now we have to create another measure that extracts the top end pharmacies based on the revenue. We also created that same variable in the previous measure, so the variable top pharmacies. And if you remember, we're going to use the top end function. And it's going to be based on the top and value. Is it value within the table that we created, all pharmacies. All pharmacies based on our revenue, and we want it descending. Close the bracket. Now we have another variable to create a table of all remaining pharmacies that are not in the top, and I'm going to call it others table. And I'm going to use the except from the all pharmacies. And what will accept of that? I don't want the top pharmacies. I'm just going to put here except top pharmacies, and I will close my bracket. Now I have to create a variable that calculates the total revenue for all the pharmacies, ignoring the filter, and that's because we will need that to calculate the percentage. So let's call it variable total revenue, and we're going to use calculate our revenue. Let's use the all fact sales. Oops, no, don't meant to give enter yet, but we still have a few variables to go. The next variable will calculate the combined revenue of the top and pharmacies. So let's call it variable top and revenue. It's also to calculate our revenue. And this time we're going to use the keep filters on the top pharmacies. And then we close and close. I'm going to take my image so you can see everything else. Next, after the top revenue, we have another variable, which is the revenue for everything that is not on the top end. So let's call it variable other revenue. And these will be the total revenue that we created, the variable. And we're going to take away the top end and revenue. Now we have a few more measures, a few more variables. Stay with me. Now we're going to want to create the variable that calculates the percentage of total revenue contributed by the top end pharmacies. So let's call it this variable and percent. And now we want to divide our top end revenue by, if you remember, we calculated the overall revenue with the variable total revenue. I put here. Now we have to add the variable with others percent. So all the other pharmacies are not on the top end. What is the percentage that they contribute? So I'm going to create another variable, and it's going to be other percent. And this time I will divide the others revenue by the total revenue. Now finally, the last variable, which we will count how many pharmacies fall into the others group. So we're going to call it variable others count, and that will be count rows for the others table. So we created this others table previously as a variable as well. And now we are ready for our return statement. And we're going to start with an if statement. And this if statement means, if you remember the slice select other, so hide or not hide the columns. So if that select others equals to, I will return my top, whatever value is selected on my top end, the total that they contribute, and the percentage. And if it is not selected number 2, I will return the same thing. Additionally to that, I will return my others, how many of them, the total, the contributed revenue, and the percentage. So let's build our if statement. If my category count equals 2, I'm going to paste the text string that I wanted to return so I don't get confused. So pretty much I'm saying to return the top, there is a space, and then the top end value, which is the selection from this slicer, and then to add how much it contributes in pounds. We have to add the format the way that we want. And then I also have to add my percentage, which I also have to format. Now, after that, so if that's not selected, the else statement, I will also copy this statement that I already have. Just make sure I see it. There we go. Then I'm gonna hit return, and let's add that to our chart. So let's go to general title. We have to enable subtitle. and I'm going to click on the format, conditional formatting, and my field value. I'm going to select my measure, which is subtitle. So now I have my subtitle, and if I toggle on to hide my other, my subtitle will be top 3 and contribute and says the total revenue that they contribute together and the percentage. And when I toggle off, so when we allow the others a bar to be there, it's going to show all the information about our top N as well as the information for the others. So how many categories, with the total revenue that they contribute as well as the percentage. So if we change our slicer, everything was going to change accordingly as well. So that's it for me today. A very long video to compensate all this time that I haven't posted anything. Thanks a lot for watching. If you like it, don't forget to subscribe and share with who is learning Power BI. It's goodbye for me now, and see you on the next video.